morning. This is the ninth part of our walk along the River Thames. Hello. So for today's walk we're starting from the ferry point, which you may remember from the last walk. So we're on the south side of the river, and this is the cut on our left that we're walking past now. That's at Shepperton, so we're at Shepperton. We're going to walk to Richmond Bridge, which we think is probably about 14 miles today, which take us past Hampton Court, which I said before I'm really looking forward to. We've come to the end of the cut part, and we're back on the main river now. That bridge ahead is really new. Apparently there's a rickety old wooden thing before, and now they've built that brand new bridge. It's busy along the Thames this morning. Lots of rowers, runners, and us. We've only just started our walk, but we've stopped for a quick coffee to wake us up. This little cafe, which is right next to the river, so it's very convenient.
The book says this section of the walk is a bit claustrophobic because you're kind of sandwiched by the reservoir.
The reservoir over to the right, isn't it?
Yeah. It's not too bad at the moment, but
seems okay to me.
Claustrophobic as the walls get nearer.
We shall see. And we are coming to our first lock of the day. We just walked past a little bit of path, and as you probably heard, it's going past the reservoirs, which has been quite peaceful and a little bit countrified. But as I've been walking along the Thames path further and further, it becomes more and more urbanised, and you definitely feel like you're in the heart of it all now. You're definitely out the countryside. That is a really beautiful tree. I think this must be the claustrophobic bit. The reservoir's obviously up there, and you walk down there. But apart from that brick wall on that side, it's not really so terrible, because you've got all this on the other side. Yeah, there's loads of houses, bungalows, but it's not unpleasant, is it? Apparently these concrete blocks here were part of London's anti-tank defences during the Second World War. Presumably it's to stop tanks driving up this pathway. We're now just coming into Hurst Park, which is the other side of all those reservoirs, and it's Richard's old stomping grounds when he was a youth. He says that I think the park used to be bigger than what it is now. They've developed some of it. So yeah, it's a park, a slightly diminished park. Opposite is all these old boat yards, look at that. Pretty wrecked and ruined. But they must have had some pretty massive boats coming out there in their day. There are some pretty amazing boathouses along this bit of the river. Ahead of us is Hampton Bridge and the weirs. So I think just round the corner must be Hampton Court. Crossing over the bridge, we'll get our first view of Hampton Court. This is Hampton Court, the famous residence of Henry VIII. I think this is where he did most of his courting with Anne Boleyn. And it's right next to the river, which back in those days the river was the main mode of transport. So they'd have travelled up and down the Thames and come to his palace. Trees are really beautiful. Look at that. Right, pressing on Teddington Rock. These are the gardens at the back of Hampton Court. Unfortunately, there's so many grey bars, it just obscures everything. But I guess you get the idea. I think there's some kind of waterworks the other side of that thing, some sort of reservoir. Yeah. We're just below Kingston upon Thames, and we're going to try and find somewhere there to stop and eat. But this in front of us is Raven's Alt, which is an island, and apparently originally it was some kind of Navy training place, and then it got abandoned and was overtaken by squatters who wanted to make it into some kind of eco centre, and then they got kicked out, and now it's an exclusive wedding venue. Since about Shepperton, maybe a little bit before, there's been quite a few islands in the river, and they've definitely become a feature as we've travelled further downstream. Our path since Hampton Court has looked like that, and on the right is Hampton Court Park, which is a huge park. No, on our left, walking, wouldn't it be here? And then on our right has been the river. And as you can see, we're coming into township or towny area. So there should be plenty of places there, shouldn't there, to stop and have something to eat. Behind me is Kingston Bridge, and the path goes over the bridge now, and then we follow it along on the south bank. There's been a bridge here since at least the 12th century, and until 1729 this was the next bridge upstream from London Bridge, so it's got quite a history.
Oh, sorry, you're not lighting them.
Well, this is it. We found it. Doing well. Just the other side of Kingston Bridge, under John Lewis, is this. Apparently it's the remains of a 14th century barrelled cellar. Shame it's not lit up. You could see it a bit better then, couldn't you? Oh well. Well, after a very good burger, we're back on the path. Must admit, I feel a little bit out of place dressed in my walking gear here. Nobody, well, obviously nobody else is. It's all very town clothing-y, and there's moved me dirty great rucksack and walking shoes and stuff. There you go. We've come to Teddington Rock, which is quite a milestone along the river. It's quite a complex of locks, and the reason for that is because this is the point where the River Thames becomes tidal. So from now onwards along the path, the river is a tidal river. Hence the name Teddington, which Richard tells me means tide end town. Yeah, that's it. Got to get it right way around. Tide end town. So yeah, from here on, it's a different river. I'm now standing on the shoreline of the River Thames at low tide. This is my first time in the river on this walk. See what I mean? Amazing. You can see quite a lot of shellfish in there, in amongst all the stones. There's obviously quite a bit of life in there. This is literally just a few hundred yards downstream from the Teddington Locks. There's your foreshore. In front of me is the famous Eel Pie Island, and this is where, I think back in the 60s, many of the old rock and roll bands used to come and play, like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and Freddie and the Dreamers, if anybody remembers them. I don't know.
Someone's garden.
That's Twickenham over there, and what you can see in the middle is a pub. There's a match on today, so I think they're all getting ready for the match. We're getting near to the end of our walk now. Richmond Bridge, which I think is just around that bend. That massive building up there on the hill, which overlooks the Thames, is the Star and Garter Home, which was originally built for injured servicemen. And it's got a great view down over the river, as you can see.
May, I'm a starter. May.
We've made it to Richmond Bridge, and this is the end of today's walk. The walk today has definitely been very different. It's felt a bit like walking through this tunnel of countryside, through the middle of buildings, houses, housing estates, yeah, flats, all sorts of things. It's definitely been interesting, definitely, like I say, been very, very different. And there's been some good bits of history. Enjoyed walking past Hampton Court, yeah, seeing other bits and pieces. So, next time, I'll start from here, and not really sure how far I'm going to get, but we'll find out.
Yeah.